On today's video, we go on what I think used to be the old path of what Highway 530 going down towards the Black Fork River, and then another path that takes you over to the old Lincoln Highway, I think, that was used way back in the past 80-90 years ago quite frequently. Now these roads, they're kind of rough. So we'll come back and backtrack and go down the road that we just passed right there, but I went ahead and followed this one all the way down, and we'll go down over this hill. I believe that this road was the original path of 530, and part of the reason why is when you go down over this, you can see how the road kind of goes off right there. Well, if you follow that, it takes you down to right where the bridge is, the new bridge that's built. Like it used to go across a different bridge at one point. Now you can see up on the side of this hill a big old sand dune. One of these days I'm going to go up there and check that out. This takes us down into a basin and kind of to a dead end. But this is the Black Fork River right here, and the basin that it goes through. So now I'm backtracking. Now, I don't know what this road, what to call this road. On Google Maps, it says it's FR040. Not sure what that means or why it calls it that. But the road that we're going to be turning on up here, I could not find any name for it. But it's probably something like Black Fork Crossings or something like that if I was to name it. But the road will take us all the way over to I-80 over by where all the Trona plants are, if we were able to follow it all the way through. But unfortunately, we got to a point and it was fenced off and we could not go through. What makes me think that this road was used quite frequently by possibly ranchers back in like the 1920s and 30s is because it has this almost allure that it used to be well maintained, and there are places where they've actually built up the road to where runoff could go underneath it. Now a lot of these places are impassable now, so that's why you have to go around them, but we're coming up on one real soon. But how that bank was built and stuff like that. But like right here, you kind of see where they actually built an area that allows the water and runoff to go underneath the road. And once again right here, of course, it's all the years of unmaintenance has made it very bumpy, and it was still a fun drive. As you can see, this also leads me to think that it is how well that was built out like a road right there. And then once again, another place where they had built a place for water to pass through the road. So I really believe that this road at one point was used by ranchers to transport whatever they were transporting over to the Lincoln Highway, someplace over by where all the Trona mines are now. And I believe I'm coming up on the biggest piece of evidence of this, an actual bridge that exists out here. A bridge to go across a divide. And of course you wouldn't want to take your vehicle over now because it's so battered and beat up and the nails are pulling out of it, but you can kind of see it right there. Trying to decide which paths to take. All along this road, one of the things that I've noticed is that it looks like the road was built up and kept level, because for the most part it was a level road. If you were on an actual trail that wasn't traveled a lot, that would not necessarily be the case, because normally those will create like what we're going through right now. But it still looks like it was built up. Even through there, it's just weather and over time has eroded it and caused it to be more of a four-wheel drive trail. Quite possibly a bridge might have been there in the past that's been removed. And right there is another example of one that's been overgrown, but that was definitely man-made. See how this is level through here, cut away. It should be a natural hill. See through here how vast and open the southwestern desert is here in Wyoming. The views are sometimes spectacular. You can see for miles and miles and miles and see all kinds of different things. And then you get down in here and all you see is sagebrush. If you're not from around Wyoming, you might ask yourself, is it like this most of the year? I would have to say yes, but it does snow, and there would be snow covered on the ground and everything else, but not like you see like in other places where it's more mountainous and everything else, like up around Jackson and Lander and Riverton. But it gets quite cold, and the weather's really dry, so it's a very bitter cold. And of course, in the summer, it gets to be about 90 degrees. I think it was about 90 degrees this day when we were out there. Going through this section right here, there was just a bunch of rocks. And this, because there's so many rocks and everything else, it makes me doubt that my theory about this will be in an old ranch road. But if it was maintained, those rocks would be buried. But over time, water and snow melting and everything else would expose those rocks again, like through areas like this. So I don't know, maybe somebody will watch this and say, yep, that used to be an old ranch road that we used to take cattle over or something like that, and confirm or not, but it just, I just found it interesting to see so many things that were man-made that were meant to improve the road. And I was also amazed at how rough it was and how much you can tell it hasn't been traveled for quite some time, although there were fresh tracks as we were going through it. So somebody's been out here in their four-wheel drive, just cruising around kind of like what I do. We're about coming to the end of this video right now. This is where we were coming up on the road, and you can see off in the distance, and it'll get closer. There's some sort of building or some sort of like either a gas plant or some sort of plant off in the distance. But we came up upon this fence, and as you can see, there was a cattle guard there. So that'll be a wrap for this video today. May you be empowered to prosper.